Oh, hello, and welcome to Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
And I'm Dr. Leviathan.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories most creepy and most pasta. Tonight we've got The Rake. So, for those of you just joining us, I'm not going to go anything big, but CreepyPasta are short internet scary stories that get copied and pasted across the internet. So they've been, the slang for it, or the term is copy pasta, and the scary ones are CreepyPasta. And that's really what the show's about. It's we take a creepy story and we discuss it. We just talk about it after we've read it. So there it is. So The Rake. It begins, the one we read, which is on creepypasta.wiki, seems to be the original story for The Rake. And I've also listened to it on the Mr. Creepypasta YouTube channel. Go check it out if you want. And we'll just dive right into the story. It starts off with this guy briefly talking about how he's gotten in contact with a group of people that are writing a book and getting accounts of this mysterious creature that was sighted a number of years ago with primarily in this large section of the United States over the course of a summer, and then there's a lot of hype and news and reports and all that about it, and then suddenly that was all kind of blacked out. All the stories online and all the printed versions were all redacted, essentially, covered up. And this group has been trying to catalog reports about this creature, this entity. And they've discovered a number of reports that date back as far as the 12th century and spanning across 4 continents. And so he was able to get snippets of the story from their upcoming book. And so the first entry is a suicide letter from the 60s, and it's essentially just this person saying they hear it, they see it. They don't know if they can wait. If they don't know if they can stand to wake up to see what happened. What next they experience from the Rake or this creature, and so they're ending their life. And then there's apparently a personal message to somebody named Lily, who saying he's saying that he prays for her because he heard the Rake say her name. Then we go straight to a new entry, which is a translation of a Spanish journal entry from an earlier time. I think the 13th century or something, or 12th century maybe. It might be one of those earlier ones.
1880. Nice try, though.
Yes. And it's pretty much, again, kind of like rambling, something you'd see in a Call of Cthulhu scenario. It's I am in terror, I'm afraid. And it just kind of goes on and on about, this thing he's seen and how it has hollow eyes and whatnot. And then it goes to another...
literally just 3 lines.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It
doesn't go on and on. It just kind of...
No, yeah, and it garbles out, actually, into incomprehensible words from what I remember. And then the next one is a mariner's report saying that this thing has taken everything from us. We have to return to England. We are never to return to this place, as told to us by the Rake. And then that's really all that one has to say. And then the next report is a far more recent one. It's takes place in the last couple of years of the story being made, where it's this family. They just come back from Niagara Falls from a trip. They're in the middle of the night. At some point, the woman of the main character thought she heard her husband felt her husband get out of bed. So she went to go try to steal the covers, found that he was still in bed, And when he turned to face her and whatnot, he's suddenly gasped in fear and like starts like huddling and grabbing her in like terror as there. And then she looks over and there's this like pale, hairless figure at the edge of the bed, just kind of staring there or sitting there staring at them, and they're like frozen in fear, and the father or the husband is just like curling up, and this thing just kind of like jumps off the bed, skitters over to him, stares at him, and then rushes off to the hallway toward where their daughter is. And fearing for her daughter, the woman goes running out to grab the light and sees the figure over her daughter in the hallway, I believe. And there's blood, and then it runs off and disappears. And her daughter is there, injured, and they go to her side, and she's just like, it said it was the Rake. Unless you want to interrupt me again, but is that it? Okay. So the husband and the daughter go to rush to the hospital. However, they never make it because they go into head first into a water body or something, or
the husband's driving the daughter to the hospital because she's not dead yet, but. Yeah,
they're rushing her to hospital because that's what you do.
They're not. He is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
And in his mad dash, he drives off the road into a lake, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I remember when I read this last night. Actually, so she's lost both her husband and her daughter, and she gets into contact and like she tries to figure out what's going on, like what's with this creature. Nobody seems to want to help them. So she meets up with this group of people that have had similar experiences, and she's one of the people who started collecting information and data about this creature known as the Rake. And then she started like suspecting that maybe the Rake's been at her house before, so she starts putting down an audio recorder at night and skims through it in the morning. And eventually she finds murmurings that aren't her own. So she's fearing for like what is going to happen next, and then I believe the story kind of ends that really. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. It's just over.
Yeah. And that's really the end of this first story for the Rake. I don't know. I liked it when I first read it. I liked the Rake as a monster. From what I've seen otherwise, because it has a legacy after this story.
Yeah, but that's not what we're doing. That's not what we're here about.
I understand.
So, you like the Rake as a monster. I don't know what the Rake as a monster is.
Okay.
It doesn't exist as a monster. For all it looks like a dude.
Okay.
Or a hairless dog, because somehow those two are the same thing.
Yeah. Okay, so for this story, I kind of went into the story knowing what the Rake was. You went in not knowing, so that'll be an interesting little bit of it. So, all right, well, what's your take on the Rake story?
It wasn't much of a story.
Okay.
There isn't a story here. I mean, you get a couple of like literally 3-4 line accounts of people who have seen the Rake at some point. Honestly, none of them appear to be connected at all remotely. And then you get, the bulk of it, and it's, this woman, and honestly, it's nothing. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it could just be a naked serial killer. Or an escapee from an asylum who, sits creepily at the foot of beds, naked, and kills people.
Okay.
So, yeah, the whole...
You didn't get any kind of,
there's just no story. You know what I mean? Like, this, honestly, I was just reading it and I was bored from the get-go. It never grabbed me. It never, drew me in. It didn't really seem to do anything. Nothing really went on. I was, oh, it's at the foot of the bed. Oh, I don't care.
Okay. That's interesting, because, yeah, people, like, this story particularly comes up with people, like, saying, like liking the Rake, or, like, coming up with, like, ideas of what the Rake was and stuff like that. So, it's interesting that you have, like, that reaction to it, because most people, I don't know, I don't, like I said, I mean, I guess I did read it knowing what the Rake was, or, like, hearing about the Rake prior to it. So, I guess I had maybe that extra bit to it, but... So, yeah, you just didn't like the story at all.
Again,
Or,
I
like, you didn't
say
think
it's not a story. There is no beginning, middle, and end here. There is no structure that is recognizable as a story. It's accounts. Yes, the last one is a little bit longer than the other ones, but you get nothing here. It's really just like, like, there really just isn't anything.
Huh.
It's really just a couple of events,
Okay.
And, how anyone could jump to the conclusion that all of these things are connected is... It's really just silly.
Okay. Well, that was this episode. Yeah, no, I don't know. I guess I got more of a narrative from it, though. Because it's... Yes, it's a series of accounts, but I don't know. I guess I was drawing, like, conclusions or connections between them. For them. Well, like, really, the first...
You know why you were doing that?
Because I knew what it was.
No, because they're all together. It's saying these are connected because they're in the same, they're in the same story. That's why you're making a connection. I'm not making a connection because I'm refusing to let this story tell me what to do.
Okay. Whereas I just kind of went...
Whereas you're just like, all right, you're ready to believe.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, you're gonna try and tell me that these things... Now, don't get me wrong, I didn't really get to the point I am until a second read-through, and I was like, why are all of these things here? Like, I honestly don't know why the first handful of entries are there. They serve no purpose.
I think it was...
At all.
The only real purpose, like, they might have served was that to try and give this thing an overarching, like a global spanning, like, vibe, like a conspiracy kind of vibe.
You mean
because they mentioned
an eternal thing? Because
yeah, an
it's
eternal
not really
thing.
global.
Well, an eternal thing because it they mentioned like they collected like other reports spanning across 4 continents. There was that summer that these events were happening in the Midwest or in America, and they were redacted. Like they can't find any other reports of it.
I just don't. There's no story for that. It's just like, yeah, this stuff, again, it's just like all of the accounts. It just kind of happens. You're not...
Okay.
This might have been somewhat effective if it had have just been the one...
The first one. Or that main one.
The meaty one.
Yeah.
Because...
Which is even being kind of generous, because it is this is a surprisingly short one, especially for one that sparked so much... like momentum within the internet community.
But yeah, there's nothing here. There's so very little here, and what you do get is honestly just so buried by the other things, and yeah, it's just not... I honestly felt like this was a waste of time.
Oh.
For me. And I mean, I waste a lot of my own time pretty readily and don't feel bad about it. But I honestly felt bad about reading this.
Okay. I can give you a little bit of history about it, because I did actually go looking on KnowYourMeme.com afterward, because it's a good site for getting like background information on shit from the internet. And it has stuff for like a lot of the creepypasta characters and whatnot and their origins. So it popped up in 4chan's threads.
Now, this is the original story?
Yes, this is for the original.
So, it doesn't have an origin.
Well, here, hang on. Popped up in 4chan late in 2005 as a thread that somebody said, okay, let's make a new monster. And so they decided to proceed to go and describe, like just give a bunch of like descriptions for some new creature that they wanted to like put in stories, in like paranormal stories. Then in around 2006 or like sometime in July, this story particularly popped up on the personal blog of a Something Awful user as part of a series of horror stories.
Well, it was something awful, so...
Yeah. Most of the information, like, you can get more of the information on KnowYourMeme.com, but, yeah, that's, like I went on to it, like, there was a bunch of, like, the initial descriptions for this thing called the Rake, was a thread of people just posting, like, ideas for, like, a new monster creature, and the original description I heard from it was that it was essentially a 12-foot tall, faceless corpse thing, like no nose, no mouth, hollow eyes and whatnot. And then this guy, like a couple of months later, goes and makes his own, like he like takes that description.
And where is that description?
Yeah,
no, it's not here at all. You get a picture. There was a drawing.
Yeah,
but that is all you get. And honestly, having an accompanying picture isn't enough for me. If you can't describe it with your words, if you can't paint me a picture with words, I'm not reading a children's book here.
Yeah.
I'm reading a story. I pay no attention to the accompanying photo until maybe like afterwards, but while I'm reading it, I don't have that image in my head.
Okay.
So
you want to rely more on the story itself than any picture, which is what you're supposed to do. It's not what I do all the time. But...
Well, exactly, because honestly, with reading it from the website we read them from,
yeah,
I don't know if that image naturally accompanied the piece that I'm reading.
Yeah.
So, if it didn't, and it's, something that someone's added to it after, I don't want to be colored by that.
Okay.
But, so you say that, the internet got together and designed a monster, and this is one of the first stories to pop up from it. And yet, there's no a single description. It's a naked man or a hairless dog.
Yeah.
I don't get 12 feet tall from that.
No.
I understand that she saw it from the back, so she can't really comment on its face, but... Oh, wait. She saw it, staring at her husband.
Yeah.
She can't... there's no description there.
Yeah.
There's no description other than naked man, hairless dog. So the only thing, honestly, the most plausible explanation I can have is that you've got a lunatic who has decided to strip naked, creep you out at the foot of your bed, and kill your daughter.
Okay.
And the most reasonable explanation, and that's kind of funny that that's a reasonable explanation in this case, but the most reasonable explanation is most often the correct explanation.
Yeah.
So, where the hell does this monster come from? Why in the hell does she find a group of people, who have all of this information collected, which is sparse, but, It's not. It's a huge jump in logic. One that I refuse to follow. Because it seems like it's going off a fucking cliff.
Okay, yeah.
Now, that's how you paint a picture with words.
Yeah. Oh.
Do you understand that?
Yeah, I know. Like I don't disagree with you. It's just now I'm just trying to figure out then why did it get so big? Like how did it get so popular? Because again, it's up there with Slender Man. Well, you know what? No, you know what? I do kind of know why it got ranked up probably as high as it did was because this the creature itself. I mean, this is kind of divvying off from the story, but the story there's no story. Like as
well,
there's
according to you, there is.
There
and
is
that's
a story.
Fine.
Yeah.
I can agree to disagree.
Okay.
That's always one thing that can be agreed upon.
The one saving grace. But online and stuff like that. I know that it did like this creature itself has gotten a lot more popular recently because it's been popping up in Slender vlogs and stuff like that, like the series Everyman Hybrid incorporated as a minion for the Slender Man. And they actually showed this like they got like a guy in a skin tight suit and a weird creepy like ghoul mask and just kind of had him like walk four-legged across the screen behind everybody when the camera was rolling. And there was actually a whole series on YouTube called Whispered Faith, which, rather than use a Slender Man, they actually used the Rake as the main monstrous antagonist force. And it incorporated, like, voices in the walls or in the attic, and then, like, not being able to... This thing just kind of appearing out of closets or appearing out of, like, crawl spaces and stuff like that where it shouldn't have been able to, like... And then jump back in, and then you go and check the closet, and it's gone. So it has some kind of weird, like, porting ability. But the description is, I mean, again, like I like online and stuff of that, like the like a lot of the fan art and stuff of that has been extrapolated from the two descriptions on that. It's like either a hairless dog or an ape, or like a naked human. It seems like a lot of people have just kind of combined those to create this dog-faced person with hollow eyes. And that's about and that's about the description they've been given online in these other mediums. But yeah, so I guess like that would probably be one of the attributing factors for why it got popular is because it got on these more popularized channels.
Yeah, but at the same time,
for this story in particular,
I don't understand how those things. Where did those things get it?
From this, and
from this is nothing. Honestly, you know what I mean? Like, it's just.
I wonder if it might be merited to. See if we can find a few more creepypastas that are a little bit more like better written with the Rake involved to see if there were other stories that maybe attributed to it because
that still doesn't help us right now.
Fair enough, I know, I understand. So for this story, it's not very long. It's got 3 or 4 very short, like half paragraph entries.
Not even half paragraph. Literally, one of them is 2 lines.
Yeah. How would you? I'm assuming you probably wouldn't recommend this one at all.
No, I mean, if like you, they found out about the Rake and they want to see where it's come from. Like you say, it's short. I think it's a waste of time, but at least it doesn't waste that much time.
Yeah.
So. You know, if you want to find out where the Rake came from, and you enjoy a nice brain teaser, because after you read it, you still won't know where the Rake came from. So, you know, there you go. Or if you just don't understand how I can be so firm about this, and you want to see why I'm so angry, and you want to disagree with me, go ahead. The story's there. Mm-hmm. But
also, I'd maybe even recommend them just check out that article on KnowYourMeme.com because it had the origin. It had pretty much most of the story there, the initial story, and like had a couple of links to like other things. So, or check out Whispered Faith, because it's probably a better narrative than this.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, the image is kind of cool. And you see the image and you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be like, you know, a monster one. And I guess technically it is, but, you know, it's kind of like the six-legged rape centaur. The monster doesn't really do anything. Yes, the monster this time takes the life of a child, and I'm not saying that that's not an event worth noting, but, like, it does it, and then it's done.
Yeah, and then it runs off.
It's over.
Yeah.
You know? Which, you know, comparing it to the six-legged rape centaur, maybe that's a little off now, because, you know, that one literally just didn't do much.
It picked up a dead body and walked out back into the woods.
Yeah, which is the same kind of thing, you know, a bear might do.
Yeah. Yeah, and for something that they're trying to get across that this thing is some kind of like eternal, or this thing is older. In fact, it's weird because this is actually something I did want to bring up as well.
There aren't really any descriptions about it.
No, there isn't. It just says fear, or I'm afraid, or we have to leave this place because the Rake has told us to leave this place and never come back.
Yeah, and this is
Where is that place?
This is related to, you know, the story that you hear from, what was it, 2003 or 2006?
Yeah.
So yeah, this is related to that. Why? Because we say so.
Yeah, actually they literally say it's like these are like all the reports that we've collected all share very similarities to their encounter.
But there's no similarities.
Yeah, I guess there isn't. Yeah.
Like, unless, you know, the people in this cabal are, you know, like in this group of people who know what the Rake is, unless they're time traveling people. You know, like the people who, you know, the dude who wrote the Mariner's Log and the dude who wrote the Suicide Note. Think about that one. Unless they're actually these people out of time.
They're just quantumly displaced because maybe that's the Rake's power. It just temporally displaces people. And so, like, it temporarily displaces its victims.
And then leaves a dying clone in its place?
Apparently.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Like, you're told to believe things, and, you know, maybe it's just because I'm, you know, overly contrary, but I just can't let a story tell me
like,
what
no, you will not tell me how to feel.
Exactly.
It's also funny because, like, I can't say that I ever read this story and was just, like, really creeped out. Like, shivering in my boots kind of thing, but the comments for this one are ridiculous about that. Like, it's like, well, I didn't need to sleep tonight. Wait, it's like, wait, this takes place in New York State? Well, it's a good thing I don't live in New York. It's like, what?
I honestly was...
Like, I mean, I understand the concept of the Rake might be like, it is kind of a creepy concept. I don't know, I'm sorry. Like, seeing a naked person, like, at the foot of your bed is going to be creepy. But then
you know what? I
Really...
agree. A naked lunatic is creepy.
So is a stuffed animal that you're not expecting at the foot of your bed, or a clown.
Yeah.
Especially if it's Pennywise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, okay. Now that I'm gonna get back into the groove, I'm able to do some stuff about this. Okay. But yeah, like...
And, okay, there's one thing I gotta say about this story, and it's noteworthy. It's not a good thing, I don't think. But it made me go meh about the death of a child. That's how... Like, that is how tedious this story is. I read about the death of a child and went, meh.
Wow.
Because it's that unimportant in the story. It's that glossed over. And I mean, that is one thing where you can just, you know, cheat the feels out of me.
Yeah.
And yet, this one failed to do that.
Yeah. Jeez. Okay. Okay, just moving off of that. Something I wanted to address also is that the CreepyPasta.wiki for some reason has this cataloged as Lovecraftian.
You put tag... Well, you know what? It's apparently it's some sort of immortal horror that no one knows anything about.
Yeah,
Sounds
that's
fairly Lovecraftian to me.
Okay, that's pretty much the only connection, because otherwise, like, it's not much.
But again, you only have that because
of all the different logs, and they're not even they're barely a couple sentences, like we've said.
And, they're barely connected in that they're not connected, but we're told they are, so they must be.
Yeah. You just don't like being told what to do, but that's also a good thing. So.
But it's also, like, if these things are connected, have a tying thread between them.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's, like a general description, or, like, honestly, it's almost the Rake. Well, okay, does that mean that this is the same thing that, honest, it just... Oh, it's the Rake. Well, Jesus Christ.
What's it look like?
God forbid something else be the Rake 200 years later.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, so things to improve this story would probably be give us a description, between...
Things to improve this story be delete it. And do it again.
Okay.
And if it's the same damn thing, delete it. And do it again until you get it right.
Okay.
This is a poor story. It theoretically has a cool monster in it, but...
We never get the description in the story itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will give you that. We don't get that.
This is the
iconic description that everybody knows the Rake from online is not in the first story that the Rake shows up in.
Exactly. I mean...
I will give you that. Like, it's...
How would you have felt if you had, if Pumpkinhead had been a story, and you had... No, if it had been like a book, and you had read it, and they'd never described Pumpkinhead?
Yeah.
What would you... Honestly, what would you see?
I can already tell you what I'd already see. I'd see a scarecrow with a pumpkin head.
Exactly. However...
that's the first thing that comes to mind when I first heard Pumpkinhead. I didn't know it was an Autumn Harvest Xenomorph, which was what we got.
Regardless. But because it was a movie, it could use the visual aid of, a dude in a suit.
Yeah.
But here...
In a book, it's a different medium.
We have a story written, we're reading words, and those words don't describe anything.
Mm-hmm.
At least, again, just not very well, not very much.
Yeah.
It's a naked man. Alright,
hairless dog.
You know what?
Hard to tell.
A naked man. Well, you know what? A severely disturbed individual would, murder a little girl while naked.
You're not wrong. I actually I watched True Detective this week, and there was something similar, so...
So, why would someone jump to the conclusion that it's a monster?
Yeah, okay. So this story isn't very good at telling us a story about the monster that this thing is supposed to be based off of. Or that this is supposed to be about.
Yeah.
Because
it
fails.
It's really good at trying to tell you what to think, but
not what it's
not
trying
why.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I guess that's it for this week.
Well, do you recommend? Because I mean,
I don't know anymore. To be perfectly honest,
then I have done my job.
I went into this like it's like, all right, the Rake. I love this monster. It's like, let's try to read the story, and I read the story. It's like, okay, that's
the accompanying image. That's a cool monster. Yeah. I want to see that thing.
Maybe we'll have to do some more episodes about other stories. Like we'll try and actually look for good ones, and then we'll submit. We'll do an episode of that. But yeah, for like this one, like I read it and it was like, oh cool, the Rake story, and I guess it's because I had colored glasses, like
You already knew what the Rake was.
Yeah, I already knew
when
the
you
Rake
were
was, so I
reading
didn't need the description, I guess.
You didn't need the description, and you've seen it. You know, it's been in. You know, you've come across it before, so
yeah.
You know, you're already. You know, you're ready to believe, and you know, I'm like, what the hell is the Rake?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
you're going in fresh.
We're doing the Rake this week. All right. Well, I guess I'll read it, and you know, well, what the hell is the Rake? And I read this story, and I'm still wondering what the hell the Rake is.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, and so like I went in reading it, knowing what it was about. And now I'm like thinking back on it, it's like, well, yeah, I guess it really isn't like finally, like actually going into it in depth with you, like it's like it really isn't a cohesive story like I thought initially. So I guess I wouldn't recommend, like I said, like I guess I wouldn't recommend this story, but I would recommend looking up the Rake, because it is a creature that is pretty cool. Is pretty interesting, like at once by its own. And in other media, like I said, I've watched a couple of YouTube series where they include him, and he is just as creepy in there as a Slender Man would be, or something else that's creepy. So I guess I wouldn't really at this point in the story at this point in our little discussion and whatnot. I guess I wouldn't actually recommend this one.
All right. My work here is done. I've ruined something for you.
You haven't ruined the Rake. You just ruined the story for me. But yeah. Now, for those of you out there, if you think we're wrong, if you agree with us, awesome. Let us know. We are now on iTunes. We are now on YouTube. So. Send us a comment. Post it to YouTube or iTunes. Review the freaking show if you'd like, because we'd like to get some feedback. Or send us an email at aldenterigamortis. That's aldenterigamortis @gmail.com. Where you can also send us suggestions for other CreepyPasta that you'd like to see us discuss on the show. You can also check out our Twitter, which is Review Cultist at Twitter. Just drop me a line on Twitter. I check it regularly. I check our Gmail regularly. Haven't seen anything yet aside from some statistics. That's about it. And yeah, I guess that's it for the episode. So I'm your host, Review Cultist.
And I'm Dr. Leviathan.
And this has been El Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well.